Tonight on News 5 Live, a weekend of bloodshed. The lifeless bodies of a husband and wife are found inside their home in Orange Walk. Gun violence erupts in Hattieville. Philip Roberts is executed in his yard on Saturday night, and a gravely injured Brian Harris is found with multiple gunshot wounds this morning. The partially buried remains of Densmore Bowman are found in a shallow grave just off the George Price Highway. Did Diana Pott Jones drown in the Crooked Tree Lagoon, or is she the victim of something sinister? A suspected drug plane is reported in the Sartaneja area, and a baby is killed in a fire in Silk Grass. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast. Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live from Monday, December 16th. I am Marlene Cuellar. With the clock ticking toward the Christmas holiday, the past weekend turned out to be a bloody one for families across Belize, as the incessant murder count keeps going upward and there's loss of lives in traffic accidents. Up north in Orange Walk, a horrific murder occurred. A couple was found dead inside their house this morning, but it is believed they were killed since Friday. Police are on the hunt for one of their sons who went missing along with the couple's vehicle. Here is Hipólito Novello.
The badly decomposed bodies of an elderly couple were found early this morning in the hall of their home on Stadium Street in Orange Walk Town. One of their sons made a gruesome discovery. He walked in his parents' home to find his father, Rafael Reso, on the floor and his mother, Nancy, on the couch. Both had been chopped and left for dead in their home. Their son checked in on them this morning after several calls to both went unanswered. The family refrained from commenting. Police have not yet issued a formal report, but we understand that family members last heard from them on Friday evening. But when several calls from their children on Saturday into Sunday went unanswered, worry set in. Unofficial reports indicate that they had been murdered on sometime between late Friday night and Saturday morning. Their youngest son is unaccounted for, and the couple's green Kia Soul is missing. It is unclear what transpired with the couple, but reliable sources indicate that at least one neighbor has told police that on Friday night after 10 o'clock, he heard a woman scream, followed by a male voice shouting, why, in Spanish. Then there was the sound of dishes falling into the floor and silence. The couple's youngest son was reportedly last seen heading home sometime around 9 o'clock in the night. News 5 understands that police are looking for the son for questioning. Reporting for News 5, Hipólito Novello.
The discovery of the bodies of husband and wife, Rafael and Nancy Hueso, rocked Orange Walk this morning. According to police, Nancy had what appeared to be an injury to one of her hands. The couple was discovered inside their home by one of their sons who had stopped by to check up on them. He found his parents in an advanced state of decomposition. This morning at the bi-weekly press brief in Belmopan, police told the media that the matter is being treated as a murder case, despite the nascence of their investigation.
It is a developing story, but we know that police were called to an area on Stadium Street shortly before 10 a.m. this morning, where upon arrival they discovered the body of two persons, a male and a female, inside a home, both in a state of decomposition, an advanced state of decomposition. We know that those persons living or the house belong to the Hueso family, and the details will be provided later on today as soon as they are had in relation to this investigation.
Is there any preliminary indications that these people were killed, sir, or is it indicating natural causes for dying? At
this point in time, we do not know, but one of those bodies, I believe it's the female, seemed to have an injury to her hand. Okay. Police is treating it at this point in time as a murder investigation, and one person is being sought who is related to the family.
Sir, is there any truth to the reports that a vehicle is missing?
As I say, it is a developing story, and I do not have all the facts at this point in time.
Sir, might that suspect be a member of their immediate family?
I said...
You said that a relative?
Yes.
But might it have been, let me put it plainly, might the suspect
I am
be
not
one of
going
their
to confirm that to you.
There was another murder over the weekend. On Saturday night, shortly after 8 o'clock, police were called to Farmer's Site in Hattieville in the Belize district, where another murder took place 2 weeks ago. Philip Roberts of Bainesville Village was executed in his own yard, where he had just stepped out, having had what turned out to be his last dinner. Roberts was ambushed by two gunmen who emptied their firearm on the father of two. Roberts was rushed to the KHMH but succumbed before he could get to the hospital. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
On Saturday night, 33-year-old Philip Roberts had just stepped outside to scrape the morsels from his plate when he was met with a shower of bullets from a pair of gunmen who were lurking inside his yard. In attempting to escape one attacker, Roberts ran to the back of the property into another shooter, who virtually emptied his weapon on him.
I get to understand that my brother made it eat, and apparently he get up for throw till he bones now out of the plate, and when he should open the door for throw out the bones, that when the shots now start to fired, and it looked like he run if he come out, if he run got a back, maybe if he run got a bush, and that when another gunman mean at the back they wait for him, so he run come back out the front. Another when he take everything.
Roberts was spared no mercy, his attackers ensuring that he would not survive the deadly ordeal.
We get to understand that he take 13 shots. They find 22 bullets in this yard. When they do the postmortem, they tell we how much more they find in her, you know. But until then, we lost.
The incident, according to investigators, happened around 8 o'clock that night. Roberts, a father of two, was waylaid and expunged.
Around 8:03 p.m., police responded to a shooting incident in the farmer's site area of Hattieville. Upon their arrival, they found Philip Roberts, 33 years, with gunshot injuries. He was immediately taken to the KHMH for treatment, and he succumbed to his injuries around 9:30 p.m. on the said date, Saturday.
Have police received any information that maybe enemies that the family know of, sir?
No, investigators are out there at this time trying to ascertain what transpired or what connections he had to anyone.
Is there any information if any person or persons were seen in the area, fleeing the area?
No, we don't have that information.
Roberts' murder comes on the heels of another fatal shooting incident on November 29th, when 26-year-old Richard Smith was also gunned down in the farmer's site neighborhood. But are the two incidents related? And why was Roberts marked for death?
It's the same thing I want to know. Right now we hear all kind of thing, but I don't want to depend here. You know, I just want the truth. I just want the truth because my brother no trouble nobody. My brother no good either. I know they say good. If them say thief, I would have feel better because I know my brother do anything there, but my brother not take nobody life. So you know, fear if they take for his life. You know, and we don't want no revenge or nothing like when nobody they think. We just want peace.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
This morning, also in Hattieville, residents made a shocking discovery when they found Brian Harris with multiple gunshot wounds along a makeshift path on the George Price Highway. Harris was accosted and shot several times before being left for dead on Sunday night. Surprisingly, he survived the attack and was rushed to the KHMH this morning. It is believed that Harris was pursued and shot in the same farmer's site vicinity as Philip Roberts on Saturday night, and police are investigating both incidents to determine whether they are connected.
On Monday, the 16th day of December 2019, around 9 a.m., police responded to a Picard Road area in Hattieville by 17 miles, where they found Brian Harris, 37 years old, with gunshot injuries. He was immediately taken to the KHMH for treatment, and he remains admitted at the KHMH at this time.
He was found on the American U Side Road, right?
That is correct.
Okay, is it a fact that he appears to have been shot last night and then found this morning?
The information gathered is that shots were heard in that area from last night. The police made checks but did not find anyone, and this morning...
No, we know there was a murder in Hattieville on Saturday night. Are these two things related by any chance?
Well, we will look into that as part of the investigation. At this time, he was taken to the KHMH for treatment, and thereafter, hopefully he recovers and we can interview him.
Sir, now the information is that he's from the Belama area in Belize. Maybe originally from Hattieville or so, but I'm saying if he's from the Belama area in Belize, was he in a known area there, or was he an interloper in someone else's area?
Yeah, we do not know that at this time. That is all information at this time, but he was found on that Picard Road.
So was he unconscious, right?
Yes, he suffered injuries, and had to be taken to the KHMH.
The family of Densmore Bowman finally has closure. Densmore has been reported missing since November 29th when he left his house in the Young Bank area of Belmopan to collect money at Western Union. His family feared the worst, and this morning it came to pass. Bowman's body was found in a shallow grave between miles 24 and 25 on the George Price Highway, an area that his family had already searched. News 5's Hippolyta Novello reports.
The decomposing body of 34-year-old Densmore Bowman was found this morning between miles 24 and 25 on the George Price Highway. A search party consisting of friends and family members embarked on yet another search for him since he went missing more than 2 weeks ago on Friday, November 29th. Bowman's mother, Mary Coleman, discovered the first clues that led the search party to the grisly scene. His slippers, cell phone and dreadlocks were discovered on the shoulder of the highway. Soon after, Bowman's body was found semi-buried in a shallow grave.
Me and my dog tackled through the bush now. Afterwards, we say foot, we say a hand, so a bone there. We smell out, we don't know what we identify the man as.
Already decomposing yourself?
Yeah, decomposed already. Half my body, half of the ground. Half buried, half.
The Belmopan resident was last seen in Warring Creek Village in front of Lucky Entertainment. He was with some friends socializing before getting into a vehicle and never being heard from again.
Friday, he messaged me 2:30 on Messenger. And I talked to him, and then I usually go to his house Friday evening because my niece comes down with me. And then I asked for him, and they said that he wasn't there. And some of the guys says, oh, he said he went to pick up some money that my mother sent for him.
So credit union, I think you had mentioned.
Yes, the Western Union. He went to the credit union first, and then later on in the evening he went to the Western Union, and then that's where I think the guys, they pick him up and they drunk him, and I don't know what they did with him.
And while the family has identified the suspects, they are left perplexed as to why Bowman was murdered.
We are hearing so much information, miss. I can't even give you. I don't know why.
The money would have been.
It's just a little bit of money. It was only, he picked up the first amount, which was $176, and the second amount was $30. It could never be for that little bit of money. And we just don't know.
Realizing that Bowman had been murdered and disposed of, the family mounted several searches in the area.
I think it was the week after we found his belongings at the entrance of the dump site where the bus stop is. That's where we found his burnt ID, we found his clothes, we found a couple other of his personal belongings, and after that we stopped the search.
Determined to find Bowman to get closure, the family reactivated the search and began combing the highways for clues.
We never give up because nobody helped us. Nobody, we keep telling them, over and over that we know he's out here, but we just, we just needed a whole group together. We're sad, but we're happy. We're happy because now I can take him to rest. I will take him back home where he comes from, and we put him to rest now, and we hope that those who are involved now, they can officially charge them, because first they said that they couldn't charge them, but now I guess they can charge them now, and we can try and put this behind us and see how best we can move on from here.
These are
Friends. His friends.
Whom you haven't spoken with, they haven't come out here, obviously?
No. Friends, all of them, all these people that he was hanging out with are people that he called friends. They go to my brother's house, their children play with my brother's children, they're his friends.
I am hurt. They hurt me and my family, but I'm saying let them find peace with God. That's all I pray, and I pray that God protect them. God, let them find peace in Him to continue their life. My son is gone, and I know my son and everything, and I pray to God that they find peace with God.
Or so he thought. Coleman was scheduled to fly to the U.S. this evening, and having found the body of her son, she now has closure.
I'm happy that we found him, so I could get closure and I could go back. I could go back home and, just to start moving on with my life again and try to put the pieces back in my life.
Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
Coming up, a suspected drug plane is reported in the Sartaneja area. A burning aircraft believed to have been laden with an undetermined quantity of drugs was discovered this morning on an airstrip in Sartaneja village. According to police, they were notified of the airplane entering into Belizean airspace on Sunday night and scrambled various teams into areas where they suspected that it would have landed. This morning around 4 a.m., they were notified of an airplane on fire in the northeastern fishing community. At the scene, responding officers were able to recover several items, including buckets and other assorted objects. It is not known where the contents of the aircraft was transported, but it is believed that the shipment may have been ferried by sea into neighboring Mexico.
This morning, shortly after 5 a.m., Crozal police were called to the Sartaneja area where on the Sartaneja airstrip a burnt aircraft, twin engine, was seen on the airstrip, still engulfed in flames. A search conducted on the area revealed several items, empty buckets, and other paraphernalia. So far, no one has been detained and the investigation is ongoing. What we know is that shortly after 2 a.m., the police were alerted of an aircraft track en route to Belize. As a result, they set up operation at several parts where it is believed that aircraft would have landed. However, they were later informed shortly before 5 a.m. that the aircraft seemingly landed on the Sartaneja airstrip sometime around 4:15 or thereabouts a.m. So it is an ongoing investigation at this point.
So any identifying features, or was the plane so destroyed that you can't even?
It would have been more or less the same as the last one, which was that about 3/4 has been destroyed and it was still engulfed in flames when the police arrived at the scene.
Sir, is there any truth to the report that the drugs came on the plane and then were transferred directly into the sea for forward movement into Mexico?
Well, that is an investigation that is a part of the investigation we are following. That information is out there, and as a result, we are following on that as well.
So do you all know definitively that a drug cargo arrived with that plane?
At this point, no.
Media reports also indicate that in the outskirts of Chetumal, Mexican law enforcement officers from numerous agencies were deployed early this morning in the area of Calderitas, where a suspected drug plane was reported to have been spotted near Oxtanca. Elsewhere, a huge bust was made in Petén, Guatemala. The Guatemalan Army coordinated a bust at an illegal landing strip in the area of Estrella del Norte, San Andres, where a group of armed narco-traffickers attempted to prevent the operation. It resulted in a shootout, but the Army detained 6 suspects and confiscated 80 parcels of cocaine, a jet, 2 pickup trucks, a jeep, a tractor, a horse, 8 firearms, and a radio. Diana Pot Jones was found floating in the lagoon in Crooked Tree on Saturday morning just after 9 o'clock. There are multiple reports circulating about what may have happened to Jones. She was reportedly seen swimming in the lagoon prior to her death. Today, we asked Senior Superintendent Alberto Romero about how police are treating the murder. Here's what police found when they were called out to the scene.
They visited the lagoon where they found Diana Pot Jones, 34 years, floating in the lagoon. She was taken out. No signs of violence was observed on the body. She was taken to the KHMH where she was pronounced dead on arrival. We are now awaiting a post-mortem examination to determine what was the cause of her death.
So she was last seen swimming. Is it a suspicion that she may have drowned?
The information is that yes, she was seen by the lagoon side, and thereafter she was found floating.
Sir,
I'll steps have been taken. The scene has been processed, as in any case where we find a body, and again, the post-mortem will reveal the cause of death, and thereafter we will continue with the investigation from there.
This morning, Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin heard the Belize Peace Movement and the vision inspired by the people in their case against the Elections and Boundaries Commission, in which they claim that the 31 electoral constituencies are disproportionate. As such, the claimants are asserting that the government is in violation of the Constitution of Belize, which states at Section 90 that, quote, each electoral division shall have as nearly as may be an equal number of persons eligible to vote, unquote. The case is still in its infancy stage, and at the previous court session, the claimants were given an opportunity to amend the claim. Today, when they reappeared in court, the matter still could not proceed since more time was needed to file the documents. Attorney Arthur Saldivar spoke to the media after the brief court session.
Today, we just informed the court what was done and what is being done, to have the court appreciate that we are seeking to move forward with this matter because it is a very important matter for the people and country of Belize. So that's where we are right now.
What was the amendment about? Can you share what?
Well, in particular, what it really is about is that under Part 56 of the CPR, the Civil Procedure Rules, there are two administrative actions that can be brought to review. One would be in relation to decisions made by a public authority, which would require judicial review. And for judicial review, you would require leave of the court, permission to actually bring it. The other is in relation to matters affecting the Constitution itself. Ours impact on both sides, not necessarily because a decision was made, but because one was not made, an omission to act when there's a duty to act. But since that omission exists and there is no real decision that has ever been made, it would have been better for us to come under a constitutional challenge direct. So that's what we're doing.
The case is being heard by Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin in the Supreme Court. Deputy Solicitor General Samantha Matute Tucker is representing the Attorney General. Saldivar was asked if he was pushing the case to trial in light of next year's elections.
Most definitely. Again, I believe it is the desire of every Belizean to have an opportunity to participate in free and fair elections. And this matter, this case, impacts on us being able to make that ability manifest. So in that regard, it is of utmost importance.
Have you seen any other examples in the Caribbean of a case of this nature?
Not exactly on all fours with it, but there have been instances where citizens have approached the court to address matters involving public bodies whose authority is derived from the Constitution to honor their constitutional duty, their mandate, especially when that mandate is not discretionary, as in this case.
The case was adjourned to December 20th, 2019. When the representatives of the Belize Peace Movement exited the court, they were also asked about the disappointing turnout at a recent rally at Battlefield Park in Belize City to mark the anniversary of the signing of the UNCAC. There was some promotion of the event, but it failed to attract support last week. One of its members, Will Mejia, was on the airwaves this morning to say that again, it was the same handful that turned out. Paco Smith of the BPM believes that people are not too willing at this time to show their hands, but are offering support in the background.
What we're embarking upon is akin to that of a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. Corruption and the perception of corruption, the lack of acknowledgement of corruption and its realities is something that has to be Number one, identified, acknowledged, conceptualized, and then we take the movements on along that path. Now, in terms of the turnout, I won't say that it was poor. Of course, there's always room for improvement. And it's going to take a paradigm shift amongst the Belizean society, whether it be individuals, civil society entities, what have you, to understand that there's strength in numbers. You see, we live in a society where it doesn't really pay to stick your neck out there. Because if you do, it very well may get chopped off, right? And a lot of Belizeans, they know that intuitively, and as a result, they lend their support in the background. Very few people are willing to really get out there and be vocal and be visible. But we in the Belize Peace Movement know that over the years, through our different affiliations, we are impacting the psyche of the Belizean people. People are waking up, they're becoming more attuned to the realities. And with time, hopefully, they will be able to and more willing to come out in public.
A robbery in Guinea Grass on Friday night played out in the village when several residents took matters into their own hands to hunt down the culprits. Police captured the two thieves, but enraged residents, as captured on video, launched an attack on the man. Police told the media today that the apprehension should be left up to law enforcement officers who are trained to deal with armed assailants. One of the robbers is now under police guard after he was shot during an exchange with police. The robbery happened at Zen store sometime around 9:20 that night. Here's how police explained what happened.
Sometime shortly before 9, he was approached by 3 dark complexion male persons, all wearing camouflage clothing, who were armed and demanded money. As a result, he was robbed of monies, cell phones and other items. Police conducting investigations in the area later came across 2 persons hiding in a yard, and those persons were identified as Leroy Halls, 26, and Wilson Caetano, 24, both of Belize City address. During the apprehension of these persons, Leroy Halls, who was armed with a 9mm pistol, apparently pulled his weapon towards one of the officers, causing the officer to discharge his weapon in Hals's direction, injuring him to the left leg. So he is hospitalized under police guard at this time. The police also recovered several camouflage jackets and pants, as well as other items, and some of the items believed to have been stolen from the complainant. So far, police have arrested and charged Wilson Caetano for the crime of robbery, and I believe other charges are forthcoming, whilst Leroy Halls remains at the Northern Regional Hospital under police guard.
Did the community play a role in the
Yes, the community did play a role in the apprehension of these persons, and the injury, I believe, was as a result of the commotion whilst he was being apprehended by those persons, along with the 2 or 3 police officers who were there as a part of the investigation.
So is there any concern that maybe the community overstepped in trying to assist the police? They seemed very agitated.
Well, yes, they were agitated, but our advice to them would be, at this point in time, is to be cognizant of the fact that these robbers are always armed or are usually armed, and they may put themselves in the way of danger. So then they simply passing of that information to officers who are armed and are trained to deal with these situations would be best left to deal with these situations.
The question I will ask outright, did the members of the community put a beat down on the robbers?
I am not in a position to say that at this point.
After the break, a child is killed in a house fire and there are others who lose their lives in traffic accidents. There is tragic news from the Stan Creek district. A 2-year-old boy was killed in a fire this afternoon in the village of Silk Grass. The child was inside a house that went up in flames. Epifania Lobos, the child's mother, had just stepped out to run an errand when the house went up in flames. The child was pulled out of the house, but he had died. And lost their lives in traffic fatalities. Jamie Enrique Williams lost his life as a result of a traffic accident on Sunday night. Just before 10, Williams was driving a brown Honda CR-V SUV on La Loma Luz Boulevard in Santa Elena town when he lost control, crashing into a lamppost. Williams was flung out of the vehicle and subsequently died. This morning, ACP Joseph Maivet shared more details.
What was gathered so far is that Jamie Williams was coming from the direction of San Ignacio into Santa Elena, where he apparently lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a lamppost, where he was flung from the vehicle, causing his injuries and the extensive damage to the vehicle.
He passed away.
Yes, he did.
Is there any information that alcohol may have been involved?
At this point in time, we do not know, but that will be determined at the post-mortem, where blood will be extracted from him to determine that.
A man tragically lost his life on Saturday morning after he was ran over on the Bullet Tree Road. It was about 12:40 when police in San Ignacio received reports of a fatal traffic accident. At the scene, police saw Manuelito Ye motionless on the road. He was rushed to the Western Regional Hospital where he succumbed. According to ACP Joseph Maivet, Ye was being assisted by others after falling off his motorcycle. That is when a white Prado being driven by Ernesto Urbina ran over the man, killing him.
Upon arrival, they observed a motorcycle on the right-hand side of the road when heading east on the Bullet Tree Road. And what the police know so far is that the motorcycle was being driven by one Manuelito Ye of a Bullet Tree village address. And traveling behind him was one Abel Naharo, 33 years, in a red Toyota Corolla car, when he observed that Ye seemingly lost control of his cycle and fell to the ground. As a result, himself and his passenger then went over to assist Ye, and whilst doing so, a white Prado, Toyota Prado, coming from the opposite direction, being driven by one Ernesto Urbina, came onto the scene and knocked down all 3 persons. Mr. Ye received the greater of those injuries and had to be transported to the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital, where he succumbed to those injuries on Sunday.
Police served Urbina with a notice of intended prosecution. Dahlgrega resident Lydia Weller was also a victim of a traffic accident on Friday afternoon on the Stan Creek Valley Road. That fatality happened at around 3:30 on mile 13. A gray Toyota Highlander collided with a white van. Weller was inside the Highlander, which was being driven at the time by Beverly Flores, while Aziz Ario was behind the wheel of the white van. ACP Joseph Maivet explained what went wrong.
What the investigation revealed that Flores was southbound and apparently lost control of her vehicle after coming off the curve and collided head-on into the white van being driven by Ariola. Flores' passenger, one Lydia Weller, 60 years, also of a Dahlgrega Town address, received severe head and body injuries and was pronounced dead on arrival at the Southern Regional Hospital. Police are investigating this matter at this point in time.
the other persons involved in the accident, sir, were any of them injured?
There were varying degree of injuries, but minor injuries, I am told, in relation to the other passengers.
There was also another traffic incident on the Hummingbird Highway. Around 2:30 this afternoon, a truck transporting electrical poles overturned and ended belly up. The driver was reportedly trapped inside the vehicle. The incident caused an interruption of vehicular traffic. When we come back, we head to Laughing Bird Key, where the reef is undergoing reseeding and replanting.
Now is the time to sign up.
The families of two missing teenagers in Belize City and Belmopan are trying desperately to locate them in good health after they disappeared on Friday in both municipalities. 16-year-old Jahira Martinez was last seen here in Belize City at the start of the weekend, but somehow managed to elude her relatives, while 17-year-old Damien Brigal was last seen in the company of friends in Belmopan on Friday night around 7 p.m. Since being reported missing, police have issued bulletins for the safe return of both teens.
Jahira Martinez, 16 years, who was reported missing on the Sunday by her parents. She was last seen on Friday, the 13th of December, sometime around 7:30 a.m. when she left home. We are following up on some information, though, that she was seen in Belize City by relatives, but she managed to elude her relatives in Belize City. So we are still following up on several information in relation to her being missing. The second missing person reported to us yesterday morning was one Damien Brigal, 17 years, of a Cayo Street address here in Belmopan City, where his mother reported that on Friday he was visited by several other persons whom he had a conversation with, and thereafter he left with them on Friday night sometime around 7 p.m. and has not been seen or heard from since. So we are in the process of contacting those persons whom he was last seen with, whilst we are continuing with our investigation in relation to him.
Is there any optimism that the young man may still be alive, or is there concern that something may have happened and now you're in recovery mode?
At this time, we do not know. So we are just following our leads being given to us, and we need to talk to those persons whom he was last seen with.
Aside from the bloody murders, a couple of persons were injured in shootings. Two young men, 16 and 19 years old, was attacked in Belize City on Saturday night as they stood on Seagull Street. Cameron Adolphus and Rasan Leslie were socializing when someone on bicycle blindsided them and opened fire. But why were they targeted? That's what we asked investigators this morning.
On Saturday, the 14th of December, around 11:25 p.m., police responded to the KHMH where information received that shooting victims had arrived. Upon their arrival, they found two persons, Cameron Adolphus and Rasan Leslie, with various gunshot injuries. Investigation revealed that they were at Seagull Street when a male person approached them and fired several shots at their direction, causing the injuries. Investigation is ongoing into this matter at this time.
So, have you guys gotten the ages of the victims?
Yes, we have the ages. They are 16 and 19.
Do you all know if it's some kind of turf dispute or a gang rivalry, why they were targeted?
Yeah, we do not know at this time. They were standing there, the gunman came, fired shots and fled. Investigators are trying to piece together what transpired.
There was another shooting incident, this time in Ladyville on Friday morning, in which Mark Faber was shot in the leg by someone who accosted him while walking along Compassion Lane. It is unclear whether Faber's attack is someone known to him. Following the incident, the Ladyville resident visited the local police station where he made a report. Here is Senior Superintendent Alberto Romero with more details on the incident.
On Friday, the 13th day of December 2019, around 11:30 a.m., Mark Faber visited the Ladyville police station and he had a gunshot injury to the leg. He reported that while he was walking on Compassion Lane, Ladyville, he was approached by a male person who fired shots at him, and he received that injury to his leg. Investigation is ongoing at this time into this matter.
So we know that Compassion Lane and Mirage Road area, it seems to be a location that has a certain level of heat, a certain level of disputes happening in that location. Is the shooting of the gentleman connected to any of those past crimes that happened?
Yeah, we do not know if it is connected to any past crimes. That is all information that was provided. We hope to get a statement later on to determine if he names who shot him, and then the investigation will go from there.
There's much more news after the break, so stay tuned. Dr. Lisa Johnson has been named as UB's Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences. According to a press release from UB, as Dean, Johnson will lead development and implementation of UB's plans for the future of the Faculty of Health Sciences, particularly its National School of Medicine. Johnson is also expected to deepen the university's partnership with Belize's healthcare industry. UB says that Johnson emerged as the leading candidate for the role after they conducted a national and international search. They cite her distinguished professional career, diverse background, and administrative experience as some of the factors that landed her the job. Johnson will serve as an assistant professor of the faculty, assumes the post of dean effective January 6, 2020, and will be based at UB's Bowman campus. Fragments of Hope is a nonprofit community-based organization that has been working to respond to coral reef challenges by reseeding and replanting the reef with diverse and resilient corals. There are many threats to coral reefs, including intense hurricanes, warm ocean temperatures, plastic pollution, development, and sewage. These have degraded Belize's barrier reef over time, causing us to lose live coral covers. But Fragments of Hope has been working to show that planting corals can help reefs to rebound when it loses coral cover in some areas. We went out to Laughing Bird Key to find out more about their work. Here's part one of reporters Andrea Polanco's story with Fragments of Hope.
This is what the Belize Barrier Reef looks like to most of us. Vibrant corals of different shapes and sizes, teeming with marine life, a beauty to behold. But marine conservationists and those who use the reef daily will tell you that there are large areas of our reef that looks like this. Empty of color, dull, just white skeletons. Those are corals that have bleached because of warm ocean temperatures this year. Marine researchers are still compiling data from the 2019 bleaching surveys, but from a look at these graphs, The bleaching this year seems to surpass 2017's bleaching at almost every site surveyed. This year, the bleaching event is severe and lasting longer, but there is still hope for some of Belize's corals.
This year is pretty bad again. Last year, not so bad. 2017 was not a good year for bleaching. And some of the outplanted corals are not bleaching, and that's what we term resilient, or resistant rather, because they're not even bleaching. And then some that are bleaching seem to recover in a month or two. We call those resilient because they're sort of bouncing back. But even if they bounce back, they're still affected. It slows their growth rate, it slows their reproduction ability and things like that. But there has been a shift in the last 10 years or so, because the ones that used to bleach first are not really bleaching again, and we're seeing a different set of species being sort of the indicator ones that bleach first now. So we are seeing a change over time.
The bleaching stress level jumped from a 1.7 level between 1985 to 2014 to a 3 or severe level in 2014 to 2017 within Belize's coral reefs. That's almost double in a span of just 2 years, which shows just how serious this threat is. But it's just one of the many stressors on coral reefs in Belize. In 2001, a hurricane hit southern Belize and caused a lot of damage on land. But there was even more devastation on the reefs. Laughing Bird Key was almost completely destroyed until Lisa Karn, founder of Fragments of Hope, had an idea while in San Pedro.
I saw some broken pieces of the elkhorn or Acropora palmata, but still living and loose in the sand and seagrass. And I thought, what if we could just put these back? Would we be able to sort of reforest the reefs like they do on land?
In 2006, they selected outplant and nursery sites. Fragments of Hope was on a mission to reseed and replant coral sites to help the reef recover. They started here at Laughing Bird Key, where Lisa and her team found dying corals.
When we came out here, there was less than 6% live coral cover. There was really only 2 elkhorn natural colonies around this key and 1 small patch of staghorn about this big. And iris and other threats like bleaching events and disease events had killed off almost everything.
This is what it looked like back in early 2000s, dead rubble everywhere. There's still evidence of the massive coral die-off, but Fragments of Hope has done massive restoration work around the key with lots of success.
One of the oldest sites from 2018 had over 50% live coral cover, starting from less than 6% in 2010. So to give you a reference, that's pretty fast. That's like 6.5 years, 40% increase, right?
And the corals that Fragments of Hope planted are growing rapidly. They've monitored the growth of the other corals on the reef, and the difference is astounding.
In 2006, the average live coral cover was 11%. And then last year, 2018, which is 12 years later, it had increased to 16%. So by only 5% in about 14 years versus 40% in 6.5 years. That gives you an idea of how quickly these corals are growing and what a difference we can make with some intervention.
Growth rate varies for the corals. They grow faster in the southern part of Belize. Karn says that regional data shows that the corals planted in the Laughing Bird Key sites are outgrowing those in Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and Florida. So far, Fragments of Hope has outplanted over 80,000 corals. They've planted a number of species as well as cross species. These hybrids with a unique shape make for a great underwater attraction. There's been growing interest in the hybrid corals because they may be more resilient to bleaching and they're tougher to be targeted by predators. But Fragments of Hope has been working with these corals primarily in the shallow patches off the reef because they provide critical shoreline protection for a site like Laughing Bird Key. A healthy reef also provides habitat for marine critters and supports tourism activities, all social and economic benefits for Belize. But these corals can only do so much.
The coral restoration we are doing here is nothing, it's no remedy for climate change. It's just a rapid response, well, a response that we came up with as a temporary sort of band-aid to bring back the areas to the way that we want to see them. But if we don't stop as a global entity emitting all the things we're emitting, it's just a temporary fix.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
We'll have more from Fragments of Hope in the newscast later this week. Up next, James Adderley has the sporting events of the weekend.
a port with a global perspective.
Sports Monday is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good evening, I'm James Adderley. Welcome to Sports Monday. The PLB football opening season reached its climax yesterday inside the Norman Brewster Stadium, where two teams entered and one would leave with the 2019 crown. Last week, Christian Lopez scored for Verdes, while Daniel Jimenez forced the tie with his goal for the defending champions, Bandit Sports. It's now money time, people. Some 10 minutes in, Bandit Sports launches the first real attack at goal. Najib Guerra's center is intercepted by Elroy Smith, but it's Roberto de Lima, also Silva, who gains possession to fire at goal. Woodrow West makes the save. Verdes then goes hunting. Then Marquese centers into the danger zone. Shane O'Rea comes out of his goal to intervene, but Jarrod James puts a body on him. Folks, we're 19 minutes into the ball game when Jody Polanco taps this set piece to Edwin Bernal. Shane O'Rea fails to control the bounce to his chest, and Jarrod James makes him pay dearly with a header that crashes into the net for the 1-0 Verdes lead. At the 24th minute, Robert de Lima floats this set piece with precision to Ian Guinea, whose header crashes off the crossbar. Now watch Roberto Silva de Lima gets taken down by Woodrow West, forcing Verdes to concede a penalty. Silva de Lima, the Brazilian, steps up, launches, only to see Woodrow West had read his move and makes the stop. We go to second half. Folks, some days are worse than others. Christian Lopez is on the attack for Verdes. Daniel Jimenez cuts him down from behind, for which Jimenez gets a second yellow card and is booted out of the ball game. It's not a good day for Bandit Sports. Still, the Bandits push on. Georgie Welcome now in the ball game deals to Lima, whose left foot rises over the crossbar. Kevin Vicente then launches this deadly corner kick for the Bandits, forcing Woodrow West into a must touch, and he does. We are late in the ball game when Christian Lopez outruns the Bandits defense, forcing Trevor Lennon into what the referee deems a foul. So we go to the penalty kick. Elroy Smith steps up and gets the ball into the net as Verdes FC goes on to the 2-zip lead at the 88th minute of play. At the long whistle, Verdes emerges as the 2019 champion of the PLB Open season. It's been a long time coming. Verdes win 3-1 on aggregate, but this rivalry will continue. Turning to the National Women Amateur Tournament, Game 1 of the championship series between Romberas of Punta Gorda and Joel Fury of Belmopan, the defending champion, took the stage at Cowpen. We got to tell you folks, at the 68th minute, Janisha Scott scored an impressive long-distance set piece to give Joel Fury a 1-zip lead. In extra time, Ashley Rodriguez floats this ball at goal that bounces off the Belmopan's keeper to who? Jessica Acevedo, who makes them pay, forcing the 1-1 tie. Game 2 comes up Saturday, 21st, inside the Isidoro Beaton Stadium. Two ladies enter. One comes home with the goodies. Turning to the basketball scene, the National High School Basketball Finals unfolded at the Multipurpose Complex inside Orange Walk on Saturday, and we kick off things with the female championship match featuring the Lille Academy in action against San Pedro High School. Shendra Casimiro gets the assist and goes glass for 2 of her 7 game points, and would also come up with 2 steals for the Lille Academy. In the second quarter, Chanel Thomas runs the court for the Lille Academy and goes the length for 2 of her team-high 18 points. Chanel would also pull 6 boards. In heavy traffic, Normally Gomez battles for this loose ball and strikes for 2 of her 30 points and would pull down 13 boards to post the game high while recording the only 2 doubles in this ball game. Now watch Taryn Arnold come up with the missed 3 points by her teammate Shendra Casemiro. She takes control and lands the putback. At the half, San Pedro High School leads 28-24. Late in the third quarter, Sandra Casemiro is taken down by Aliyah Liva. Sandra goes to the line and sinks both free throws. Miss Gomez returns the lead to San Pedro with this free throw for a 1-point lead. However, Jalen Carchel deals to Senea Apollonia, and her landing this triple is huge. Normally answers by going baseline for 2, and she hits the freebie as San Pedro now shows a 1-point lead. Late in the ball game, very late, the unthinkable happens. Normally Gomez, trying to gain possession, commits the 5th foul that chases her off the court to the sidelines. The Lille Academy seizes the opportunity. Shadette Lino finds Sandra Casemiro, who delivers 2 points, and then Shadette Lino reaches down court alone to make it a 1-point lead. The Lille Academy goes on to post the 49-48 Big W, and I say, ladies, you're large. Meanwhile, folks, the male championship was somewhat of a blowout as Wesley College really clobbered Stan Creek Ecumenical 52-28 in the finals. We say congratulations to the National High School male champion, Wesley College. Turning to the cycling news, 126 riders converged at the starting line yesterday for the 68-mile ride from Sand Hill to mile 17.5, then to Orange Walk and back, and well, thereof, here is the sprint for the big finish in front of the police station at Sand Hill. It's a 3-man battle that is conquered and dominated by Sean Scott, who does it in 2 hours, 56.51 seconds, as Oscar Quiroz has to settle for 2nd, and Henry Morero pulls up 3rd. Brandon Catus rolls in for 4th place, followed by Wasani Castro. Giovanni Choto is 6th, while Palas Joseph, he rolls in for 7th. In the A and B category, Ken Gladden takes Tapanas in 2 hours, 19 minutes, 39 seconds. Wayne Mars, he finished 2nd, and Kevin Gooding, he rounds out the top 3. But let me remind you, Mr. Kevin Gooding is the first B rider to finish. Irfan Newman, he took the C class with Manuel Esquiliano 2nd and Jerome Wade 3rd. Hey folks, that's our show for today. We invite you back same time, same place next week. Ja over all. I'm James Adderley.
Sports Monday was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Belize Bank's Christmas.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, good night.